Hello, everybody, and welcome to IceMen Live. All right, your IceMen are the only team in the ECHL without a regulation loss. You guys are called the Maniacs. You can do better than that. Come on, let's go. Get loud. There we go, that's a little better. Still want more. Once again, we are live at BFO Brady's and presented by Coors Light. I'm Sean Pooley, joined by my esteemed co-host, Jim Riggs.
How about those Steelers?
Yeah!
Thank you.
He's showcasing his Steeler pride. I left my Bronco jersey at home, which after yesterday is obviously understandable. And we are, of course, joined by head coach Dwight Mullins.
Right on.
All right.
I'm good.
It's great to have you back up here.
It's nice to be here.
Awesome. Well, a lot to talk to you about. First 2-game week last week, 3 games coming up this week. How are things going now that they're getting a little bit busier this season?
Well, I think obviously, our schedule early was, really sparse in games and allowed us to have a lot of practice time. And, it's nice to get into a little bit of a rhythm here with our hockey team from a game standpoint. And, heading into this short week is kind of the first chance we're going to be able to do that. So, I'm looking forward to it. I think the guys are looking forward to it as well. I mean, obviously, I think to come with 7 out of 8 points in our first 4 games is, been a real successful start for us. And it's something that was real necessary, based on the fact that just in sheer games played, you want to stay with the pack and you don't want to dig yourself too big of a hole that, you can't control.
Good points there. Obviously, getting those 7 out of 8 points is pretty big. Like I said, you guys are the only team in the ECHL without a regulation loss. How does that sound?
Well, obviously, again, it came at a really good time for us. I mean, I think that the guys have really bought into what we're trying to do as a group. And I think when you have a successful start like that, it just, helps things stay on the right side. And again, we needed it. Our schedule with the number of games that you play, like I said, is something that you really want to try to control and not, like you said, fall behind just out of the math.
Now, 2 games this past weekend. You're trailing Indy both times 3-1 midway through the second period and one time into the third period. What did you say to the team to get them fired up to come back and rally in those games?
Well, I'd like to take all the credit, but I think it's just a testament of our group and the confidence that we are starting to instill in each other as a team. I don't think it's how we want to play and perform every night out, because you don't want to flirt with those leads too many times. But I think it's a testament to what we're like. I don't think that there's quit in our locker room, and I think that we are a confident group, and I think that we understand if we play a certain way, we have the ability to be one of the top teams in the league. And I think that confidence is what has allowed us, the opportunity to come back. And I think that, again, it's one little shift or one little thing that happens that can swing momentum for our hockey team, and we seem to build off of that. And again, it's not something that I think we want to make it a habit of, but also I think it's a good characteristic. And it's something that I see different in this team that I haven't seen in a while in some teams that I have had. So it's been good.
Anything you can attribute to the slow start except for opening night?
Really, opening night was, a little bit different than the others. The leads that were gained here over the weekend, I thought were pretty circumstantial. I mean, a couple of careless mistakes that we don't typically or haven't typically made, were found their way to the back of the net on us. And again, I think that when I look at that, it wasn't necessarily an overall mentality or a team play type situation. It was more of an individual circumstance that led to, a breakdown that we don't normally or characteristically do. So, I don't think it was from an effort, and I don't think it was from lack of our team play game, and I think it was just a couple of individual mistakes that we don't, characteristically make.
Now, the Icemen have outscored opponents 6-0 in the third period. What do you guys attribute to this, late game heroics that you've had so far?
Well, again, I don't think that it's anything other than just us being able to take advantage of the situations that are created. I do think too that with the type of game that we want to play, the third period should be our best period. We want to wear teams down. I found a big difference in the way Indianapolis played us on Saturday compared to the way they played us on Friday. I think on Friday they tried to match our aggressiveness and match our intensity, and I think that they found they couldn't do that. And I found them on Saturday really trying to be passive, really trying to slow things down, and really trying to make us, kind of stop moving. And when we do that, that's not a characteristic of ours. So I think it took us a little bit of a while to kind of find some rhythm, and we did. But I think that the way that we play, third periods should be our best period.
Well, it certainly has been so far. Like I said, outscoring teams 6-0 in that third period so far to start this season. Now, looking at Indy, when they played you a little bit more passively, like you said on Saturday, how is that something that you break through and just kind of adjust to their style to achieve success?
Well, I don't think it's an adjustment to their style. I think it's just imposing our style is more than anything. And I think that, again, when a team wants to slow things down, you have a tendency to want to stop moving your feet as well. And when we don't pressure, and when we just try to take angles or take shortcuts, then that's where we're a different hockey team. So, I don't think it's so much of how we want to adapt to them as much as we want to stay to our characteristics as consistent as possible.
Now, one of the points that assistant coach Josh Pooley has emphasized to me is the special teams. You've seen the penalty kill get a lot stronger, and the power play too. What are some of the things that you're looking to do to, kind of improve in those areas on the special team side?
Well, I mean, both those areas play critical points in the games, especially early on in the season. I think our power play has done a lot of very good things outside of capitalizing on chances. Although we've been opportunistic at the right times on it. Our power play percentage maybe isn't where it needs to be, but we have gotten goals off it at the right times. And then our penalty kill has really been a strength of ours from day one. That's allowed us to either stay in games or to hold leads. And so again, I think that those are areas that are like turnovers in football, are critical to your success of your team. And if your numbers are right and your numbers are high, you have a good chance to win.
Moving on to our next game, which is Wednesday morning. Have you done one of those before?
I haven't. This will be an interesting experience.
You folks out there, have you been to the morning game? Woo! They're very noisy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We need earplugs. Okay, well, you've been warned, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
What do you do differently to get ready for a 9:30 in the morning game?
Well, I think that the biggest thing is it's not so much me. It's just convincing the players that really there isn't an obstacle mentally based off of adjusting their routine. And we are creatures of habit, and we're geared towards 7 o'clock or 7:30 starts is pretty much our time frame, and everybody plans their day according to that. So, we have to make a few adjustments and a few changes here. I just think that it's important to instill in our players that, the little changes that are going to need to be made don't need to impact performance.
Now, that game will also be played against Elmira, your former team. Any sort of a revenge factor there for you?
No, I mean, it's, again, it's a different hockey team. This team is a different hockey team. It's two different organizations at this point, and really, I don't look at it as any more important than the 2 points that we've had to play for up until this point. So, again, I want to beat them just as bad as I want to beat anybody else. But there's no real like that team is different. There's different personalities there, different players there, just as the same with this organization as well. So I really don't look at it as anything more than just another opponent for us.
Have you been able to look at them on tape? What do you notice?
I started today. They've really relied on a couple of guys for the bulk of their offense. I think they're a team that's kind of opportunistic. They kind of hang around, and if you give them opportunities on the power play, they've had a pretty good power play. I think that if we can play them 5-on-5 as much as possible, I think it gives us a really good chance to be successful. I think that, for us, again, it's more about us staying consistent and getting pucks behind their defense and playing with a lot of pace that are going to be successful with us against them.
Speaking of defense, we have two of our defensemen here tonight that are going to come up as guests later on this show. Talk about what you've seen from the IceMen defense this season.
Well, I really believe that the depth of our defense and with what we've built back there has really, been kind of the backbone of our hockey team. I mean, I know that from the day that I was named coach here, it was number one on my agenda to have Guy Lepine return and to have him signed. I just really think he brings all the attributes and all the characteristics that I want our hockey team to be identified with. And, so the day that we were able to get him under contract, I think was a huge step forward for our organization. And then every time I've been up here, I've talked about Donnie Harris. I mean, here's a guy that came in to, he deserves it. He's worked very hard. Here's a guy that's come in kind of under the radar, and he was one of the easiest guys to recruit to come back here over the course of the summer, and he's come in here and he's just really had a great attitude. He's a relentless worker. I have to talk him into taking days off and time off. And, I just really think that he's come around and been just a great player for our organization. And, when you can find players like that can start to play critical roles, then you know that you've built depth in your hockey team. And, he's been one of the ones that has been a real pleasant to work with.
Great to hear. Now, two other games this week, Wheeling on Friday, and then Toledo on Saturday. First long road trip for the team, and it comes at the end of a 3-day week. How does this 3 games in 4 nights present a challenge for you guys and difference in preparation?
Well, I think it's something that we're looking forward to. I think that it allows our team to get into a rhythm, and there's a certain rhythm that you get into with your body and with how you manage yourself when you play games. And we haven't found that rhythm yet because of our schedule, like what we've talked about here. So, I think we're really looking forward to it. I think that, Wheeling will come in a pretty familiar opponent for me. They haven't had a lot of turnover. They have a lot of the same personnel that they've had for the last year. And again, I think it's a hockey club that, we're going to have to take care of some certain areas and components on the ice to be successful. And then with Toledo, I know that they've had a redo as well. They have a lot of new faces in their organization. I know that they've, basically focused their affiliation now with the Detroit Red Wings, where before they were a split club with Chicago. So they'll have a new look. And again, it's always a fun place to play in there. They're very well supported, and I think again, it's kind of another natural rivalry with them. So I'm looking forward to a couple really good tests for our team this week.
All right, Jim, that's all I had. Did you have anything more that you wanted to ask?
The Toledo building's a pretty nice arena. You've been in there, right?
Yes. Yep.
Did you ever play in the old Toledo arena?
No, but I've played with a lot of guys that had a lot of stories about. I played with some guys that couldn't fit down the hallways. What I heard was so bad.
Well, the old Toledo arena, the visiting team had to walk through the stands to get to the locker room. So you can only imagine the potential nightmares that developed.
I can only imagine, especially with some of the cast of characters back in those days.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, folks.